If you've been around a while, you know that whenever I launch a new brush kit, I like to put out a few free video tutorials to teach you how to do it. My Artsy aesthetic kit just came out and I'm going to teach you this piece today. It's really easy, really fun. Here is a look at some of the layers. So I have a texture layer, I have my fun background, splatters, some more texture, lettering, the outline, and then some sketchy detail elements. So we'll walk through creating this piece together. You can use any lettering you want. The point of this video isn't going to be so much the lettering as the techniques to get to this end result. So you can even draw a big heart in the middle of your page. One letter, you can do something similar to what I've done here, but we will go ahead and get started and I'll walk you through all the steps to create a fun artsy piece like this. Let's go ahead and start by opening a new canvas. You're gonna tap your plus sign. I already have a 2000 by 2000 pixel canvas that is set to RGB set up, but if you're new to Procreate, I'll walk you through doing that. So you'll tap this darker plus icon right here. You can enter your width and height if you're just posting to social media or using it for personal use. 2000 by 2000 should be plenty. And since it is for an online purpose, we will leave our color profile as the RGB. CMYK is if you are going to print it. So we'll click create and now we have our square canvas. A fun thing you can do if you want to use a reference photo, so you can click your wrench icon right here. You can turn on reference, and then normally it would reference what you're drawing on your canvas. But if you click on image, you can import an image and bring it in. So I'll bring in my original piece here, and then I can see what I did originally and we can kind of follow along with that. So I will put that in a blog post and the caption, so you can download that as well if you would like to do the same. So the first thing we'll do is we have a layer here. We'll tap and rename that texture. I always like to name my layers and keep them organized. And then I'm just gonna pick a gray color. I'll go ahead and put a color palette on the blog for you because some people like to really follow along closely. I use all these colors on Instagram a lot. It's got all the grays, whites, and then a bunch of bright colors. So I will put that on the blog for you. I don't have it up there yet, but I'll have it by the time I do this video. So I'm just gonna grab the lightest gray. And then let's go ahead and do the coarse mixed media paper so you can see it best on camera. And then just hold your brush pen down the whole time. Don't lift up or you'll get that layering effect. 2-finger tap to undo. Hold it down until your entire paper is covered. There you go, easy peasy. So now let's go ahead and start creating our fun background elements. So I'm just gonna call this background. And now we're really gonna start using a lot of color. So I'm gonna start with pink, and then I'm just gonna start using a bunch of these brushes. So I'm gonna use them at a pretty big size to get that nice texture. So I'll start with color wash, and then I'm gonna move to, you know what? I think when I did this piece originally, I used the Awake-ish color palette from a tutorial I did in a free class last year. So that's the one I'll give you on the blog. All right, so I'm gonna, or yes, on the blog so you can download it. Now I'm just gonna switch to the gouache. I'm gonna make that a lot bigger. And all I did was just keep changing brushes and changing colors. I kind of thought about, you know, if I had purple here, I wanted to balance it a bit there. So you maybe wanna switch back and forth. Sometimes I didn't go in order for the brushes, and then change your directions too. And let's see, then I did some yellow. And you can always layer it to get it thicker. You can change directions on the same color. So I just kept changing colors and brushes repeatedly until my whole background was filled. Oops, I got my color selection tool here. Make that bigger. You can just scribble. And I'll do a really light color next to that. Got my airy brush. Maybe even some circles. Can you see how the textures start to layer and you start to get a lot of, and you don't want everything going the same way. It's more interesting if they change. I can see now that I have a bunch going kind of this direction. So maybe I want to come back later with a darker shade and another brush and go over it that way. So just keep doing that until your whole background is filled up, changing colors, changing brushes, mostly with anything from the color wash brush all the way down to the powdery brush is what I use to do my background. And again, you know, I have purple here, here, pink here, yellow there and there. So really try to think about balancing your color scheme as well as you're doing it. You can just keep adding things. And you don't have to use all the brushes necessarily. I did because I felt like it gives you a good demo of what you can do with them. But pause the video here, keep adding all your colors and textures until you're happy with them. And you can tap the arrow tool and kind of center it a little more if you need to. Once you are happy with it, we will move on to the next step. So you can see I finished my background. I tried to get a lot of texture. I added some smaller squiggles, colored outside the lines a little bit, but that is really using all the brushes that are the mixed media style. So the next thing we want to do, you can see we have texture in the background here, but we don't have it on top of our art yet. And there's multiple ways to do this, but this is how I always like to do it. So I swiped left on my texture layer to duplicate it, and then I drug that layer to the top. And now I'm gonna tap it and switch it to add, which see how much that brightens it up, off, on. It's a little too much though, so I usually tap the A and bring it down so it's more subtle. Maybe let's go with around 50% there. All right, so now we're gonna add our lettering. I'm just gonna bring mine in so you don't have to sit and watch me draw, but you can pause the video and add your own. Like I said, you can follow mine, but I really wanna show you the art of this versus the lettering. So now I'm gonna tap the wrench icon and click paste and paste in my lettering. And I'm just gonna center it up a little bit. Oops. If you find that reference thing gets in your way, you can always turn it off. I'm gonna keep it on for now. And it's okay if your white part of your letters gets on the white part of your canvas, especially because we're gonna outline them. So again, if you want to just draw a big heart here to follow along with this and keep it quick, you can do that. So I'll rename that lettering. And now I'm gonna add a layer above it and rename it outlines. And I'm gonna grab a dark color. I'm actually gonna grab this color down here. It's kind of a dark bluish purple gray. I don't know, but I think it's what I used originally. Now I'm gonna grab the freehand fine liner. And you can see in my original piece, I have tons of sketchy, but I do a cheater method to make this super fast. Or at least faster than it would otherwise be. All right, let's test out this size. All right, I've got my brush set at about 10%. So without using, you know how if we draw a straight line and we hold it, we can get a perfect shape, or if we draw a circle, tap a finger, we can get a perfect shape or perfect oval. We don't wanna do that for this step because we want it to look sketchy. So I'm gonna outline my letter, staying close to the original shape, but not too close. And if you don't like it, 2-finger tap, you can undo it. I wanna get that a little more curved, like that. And you can always turn your page. Okay, so instead of doing that 3 times, which you could do, all I do is swipe left, duplicate, tap my arrow, offset it a little bit, and maybe change the rotation with that little green arrow up here. And then I do that a 3rd time, again, offset and change it. And you get that sketchy look without having to outline it 3 times. Although you can totally do that if you prefer. But it gives you a quick sketchy look. And then I just pinch that together. And I do the same thing with the next letter, but I'm using its own layer until I'm ready to pinch it down. So alternatively, what you would do is just outline it. And then outline it again. So you can do that as well. I just prefer sometimes, if I'm not just outlining hearts and stuff, to do the duplication method. And duplicate. And sometimes you don't even have to change the rotation. You can just shift it around. And so you can make it look as sketchy as you like. So again, pause the video here, complete all the letters, and then we'll come back and do the finishing elements. You're gonna do the same thing with the heart. So outline those, whoops, pinch that down. So outline those a couple times as, oh, I'm on my eraser tool, that's why it's not working. So with these, I would probably just outline 3 times because they're nice and small. And that's quicker. So get all your letter and heart outlines done, and then we'll come back and add some more details. So we've got our textures, our background, all our lettering and outlines done, and now we're gonna add some details. You can see I turned my reference off because I had just finished this video, and it was like 7 minutes long, and I looked at it to import it to my laptop and like put it all together in one video for you. And I realized it was really blurry. So we are gonna start over. And now the sunshine's coming out. Look at all the nice light we get now. So maybe that's a happy accident. So we'll add now all our sketchy details. So let's go ahead to our layers panel, tap the plus sign, click rename, and let's call this sketchy details. And I'm going to grab the fine liner again, and that kind of dark gray blue color. And now we're just gonna add a bunch of details. And again, I'm always thinking about balance. So if I add a little squiggle here, I might add a little squiggle here. So we have that balance there. And don't forget, you can draw on your letters as well. So you can do some hatching. That one kind of looks like a hashtag, but well, I actually think I'm gonna do a heart there. So you can do a lot of 2 finger taps to undo things. You can add in some more hearts. And again, I'm always thinking about balance and adding things or a lot of main elements in an odd number. So there's 3 extra hearts, there's 3 crosses. It's just something you learn in design school that is more visually appealing to the brain. So I might add some simple lines there to help fill in that empty space. I will add some simple circles. I might let those make an auto shape, but not a perfect one. And I'll do a simple dotted line there, and then some more lines there, again, for that balance. And then maybe a few circles on my S. And let's see. Then I added some simple dots. So all I really did is you could either up your brush size and just add, like, go quickly, and it makes imperfect dots. See how they're all kind of different sizes, which makes it look more realistic. And then to balance that, I did some dots down here. All right, so we don't really need this reference guy anymore, so I'm gonna turn him on so he gets out of my way. Now we just need to add some splatters, and I wanna add that above my background. So I'm gonna tap my background layer, click plus, rename it splatters. I'm gonna pop up here and look at my camera, make sure we're in focus. So, ooh, we are this time. Okay, I got a new phone and it has a cinematic video mode, which is really cool, but sometimes I'm still learning to use how the focus shifts. So I'm gonna grab a really dark pink and my first splatter stamp and kind of, actually, I think I wanna do my splatter like that down here. So I'm gonna grab a dark blue, and then I will grab my pink second splatter, throw that up there. Maybe I want it to be a little darker. So I'm gonna click classic and then just slide it towards a darker color so it shows up a little bit more. You can play with it a little. And then stamp 3. I'm gonna do the same thing with this darker yellow, but I want it to be a wee bit darker. And I can pop that over there. So I just did 3 simple splatters. And then for our texture, you can see we're still good. I always want to check and make sure it's still on my letters and my artwork, but you can see how it kind of disappeared from my background. The reason for that is because of using this add function. So it really brightens up your artwork, but it usually reduces the background. So what I do to fix that is I come out of my artwork, swipe left and duplicate, because I'm gonna have to merge some layers. And if I wanted to go back and edit those, I like to keep another copy of my artwork. So I'm gonna merge the splatters in the background, and I'm actually gonna merge the texture down too. And now you can see I still have texture on my letters and artwork, but now it's back in the background too. That's just one of those things you have to play with sometimes, because if we put this texture back at the top, for example, you have so many options down here that do different things. Sometimes I forget, even after years of working with Adobe Illustrator, which has most of these, and Photoshop and this, I forget what some of them do. So you just kind of play with them. And if something doesn't come out like you expect, sometimes you can merge it down. But I tend to use the same couple. I'll either use normal, add, or multiply, color burn, or linear burn. Those are like the main ones I use. The fun thing with color burn and linear burn, I'll show you real quickly here. So let's say you wanted to add some extra splatter. So we could make a new layer, grab splatter, and say you use a pink and you put it down. Oops, let's do it under our letters. I'll put it above the background. And I use that pink, and I can't really see it because the color is so similar. The really easy way to change that is color burn. See how that got instantly darker? Normal. Here, I'll zoom in for you. Normal, color burn, and then linear burn. So sometimes a color burn will make a shade I like better than linear burn, and vice versa. And you can also change the opacity. But again, that needs to be on its own layer for you to do that. So just a quick side note there. So now we really have everything complete. I'm gonna check one more time. All right, so we are done. It looks fun. What I want to talk to you about before I let you go real quick is what you want next. So this piece is essentially the same thing we just did, just with a little bit of different layering, sketching in different places, some splatters, and just a simpler lettering style for that moon dance poem. Again, same thing with this one, a little brighter, happier color palette. I did the whole butterfly using Artsy brushes instead of any fine liners. And sorry, there goes my, you know why? Because the focus wants to follow like things automatically, which is cool, but it doesn't always work well for iPad. I might have to switch that. So, all these hearts are from the stamp kit that came with this. So it just makes it really easy to add cute little textures in your background. So I did those just for fun. And then this is, I'm guessing, the one you'll want to learn next because it has different techniques. And we'll get into some of that, come on, focus. Some of that texture and using some of the other brushes that we did not use in this video. So let me know what you want to learn next, but I think we'll probably move on to that one. If you post what you made with today's tutorial on Instagram, I would love to see it. Tag me at @ByDawnNicole, and I try to regram those to my Instagram stories. So have fun, and I will see you soon.